We have now reached the end of the year. That means it's time to do our final rankings of all the stuff that came out this year. The first ranking video that we're going to do today is the top 10 TV shows of 2023. I'm very excited to get into this. Don't get too offended by my ranking. We all have our different opinions. Leave your ranking down below of your favorite shows of the year. Before we get started, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel. We're on the road to 500 subscribers, and let's get right into the ranking. All right, coming in 10th place is Ahsoka Season 1. I'm just going to call it Season 1 because hopefully we are getting a Season 2, but I kind of went into this show not really knowing what was going to happen, but because I didn't watch, I didn't know anything about Rebels when it first came out, or the Clone Wars. I never watched those when I was a kid, but I did decide to binge all of Star Wars Rebels, and I watched, the last season of Clone Wars just to, get familiar with Ahsoka as a character and all the Rebels characters, because I didn't really know them. I only knew Ahsoka from, The Mandalorian, but it really added to my love of this show because, I feel like this show is kind of mixed on Twitter in the Star Wars community. A lot of people like it, some people love it, some people hate it, but I really liked it a lot. I thought it was a great show. I love the direction of this show by every single director. Dave Filoni, though, he's like the big director of this show, big kind of creator. And, the samurai kind of lightsaber fight scenes and fight styles that they're going with was very interesting, but I think it worked a lot for me. Kind of like the slow fighting. I feel like they took some techniques from each trilogy in the Star Wars universe, the OG, prequel, sequel trilogy. I feel like they took a little bit of it, mixed it all together, made it like a samurai technique. I thought that was very cool. I loved where they went with it. It's not a perfect show, though. I wanted it to be a little more serious and a little more fast-paced because it took forever to kind of get to the next point in the story. I felt like the pacing was a little bit off in there. I feel like this show kind of struggled like every other Disney Plus show does with you get to that final episode and there's just too much to do, too much to wrap up the show. And I feel like that just needs to be fixed as a whole. I feel like it would have been better, it's always better, I think, if you have a movie for these characters because you have a strict, time limit, strict pace for these episodes. But I still thought the episodes were great. I feel like they had great run times, but I feel like it could have been a little fast paced, a little faster on that. And Shin Hati is, one of my favorite characters from the show. I need to see more of her right away. She's great. I don't know if her story has ended or not, but I really need to see more of her because she was excellent. And we can't talk about Ahsoka without talking about the Anakin episode, the Anakin flashback episode with the return of Hayden Christensen. What a big episode for the Star Wars community. Really gave me a lot of joy. I feel like everyone loved that episode. It just trended on Twitter, trended on YouTube. It was just a big moment for everyone just to see Hayden Christensen back again. The love that he's gained since the trilogy with him in it has been huge. I thought he looked great, and he just got it all back with his lightsaber technique. I thought he was just great. I love seeing him fight Ahsoka and just seeing, them back together because, their big friendship in the animated series, but we haven't seen them in Ahsoka didn't show up in the prequel movies at all, but I love seeing them both here kind of like talk to each other. That was pretty cool. Seeing Thrawn, Ezra, Sabine, Hera was awesome. I feel like Thrawn and Ezra need to be fleshed out a little bit more because I showed up a little late. That's because the pacing of the show wasn't great, but I thought their moments with each other was really cool. I really hope season 2 can come soon because I just had so much joy watching this show every single week when it came out. I feel like season 2 can be even better with the cliffhanger that we're on. It's kind of like the opposite of where we started, but I feel like it's an interesting cliffhanger to do. I feel like we're going to get more Ezra in the next season. I can't wait. Supposedly Dave Filoni is like a new kind of like, he's working with Kathleen Kennedy now on like expanding this universe. So it's going to be like the Dave Filoni universe with his movie coming out. Supposedly they're making a Mandalorian movie coming out too. I can't wait. I just felt a lot of joy and a lot of love to see these characters in live action. It was just really cool. Shrinking was another new Apple TV show that came out this year along with Ted Lasso. But I gotta say, Ted Lasso did not make this list. What a disappointing final season for that show in my opinion. But Shrinking did make the list. This was kind of like a surprise for me to see this make the list. But this show is just filled with so much joy, so much sadness, kind of like, happiness at the same time. It's kind of like a depressing show to watch at times also, but I was very happy to see Jason Segel back again in a big role because, you don't see him much in these big roles anymore. He was big in the 2000s and all those different movies, TV shows, but, you don't see him much anymore. But he's in this big show now on Apple with Harrison Ford, of all people, on an Apple show, a comedy show. That's insane to see Harrison Ford in a comedy like this. But I will say Harrison Ford, I was worried about him in the show because sometimes he doesn't like doing the shows and sometimes he doesn't like talking about the shows, but I feel like just seeing him in the show, I feel like he had a great time here. I think he got snubbed for some nominations because I thought he was one of the best parts of the show. He was hilarious in what he got to do in this show. I'm not going to really spoil it because I want people to go, find the show, because not a lot of people did watch the show when I was watching it, when it was coming out. Not a lot of people were talking about it, but I had a great time with it. It's a really easy show to watch too, and it's a feel good show, but it's also a feel sad show because a lot of sad things kind of happen in here for Jason Segel's character and all that. It's funny, but it also took its time to be emotional when it needed to be. And Lucas Maxwell gave a great performance, and she's fairly new to the movie and TV game. I looked her up, or IMDb. She hasn't been in much, but she did great. And I thought the whole cast here, the whole ensemble did great. It's funny, as I said, feel good show. And it's a decent amount of episodes too. I cannot wait for season 2. I think they did announce a season 2. So if you haven't gone on the show, it's on Apple right now. It's a very short show, only like 30-minute episodes, and I think it's a great show. The One Piece live action adaptation comes in 8th place. I gotta say, before I watched this show, I've never seen any One Piece episodes before. My friends have watched it. They said it's pretty good, but I just feel like it's such a daunting task because there are just so many episodes. I think it's the longest running anime of all time. There's just so many episodes of that show. I can't even begin to start that show. I will not do it. I don't think I could ever do it, but I've heard it's great. But I was just kind of worried because it's another anime trying to be a live action show, especially for Netflix. Netflix worries me with these adaptations, but it really surprised me a lot. It's really great. The production design kind of was out of this world for the show. I wasn't expecting how awesome the ships were going to look, how awesome the costumes were going to look. Like, you have that little one episode where there's just a lot of costumes going on, a lot of costumes in the closet. I forgot what the episode was, but there's a lot of different costumes in here. They all look great. They all stand out. A lot of great action scenes in here. Like, the final 3 episodes were really top tier, and kind of like the emotional levels through those last episodes were great too. If all the episodes were like the final 3, this show would be even higher on this list, because those final 3 episodes really were some great stuff. I do love the main crew of here, Luffy especially. I thought he was a great character. Some of the other side characters in the show that we had to spend time with, I didn't really care too much. I thought that those scenes kind of went on for a little too long. But I just loved seeing the main crew together, and I feel like this show could go on for a long time for Netflix, just because of how big it was when it first launched. A lot of people loved it, I saw on Twitter, and if they keep up with the quality, I think it could easily go on for like 5 seasons or even more than that, because we know Netflix likes to cancel shows after like 3 seasons. It's kind of weird how they do it, but the creators behind this show just put their they put everything into the show. I think the original anime creator also helped make the show, so that's why it's so great also. But it makes me wonder, how good will the Avatar: The Last Airbender adaptation be? Because, the original creators left that show. So I'm wondering if it's going to be on the same level of this One Piece show or not, because this show just had some great production design, great action, great VFX too. I was kind of worried with the VFX because they're like on the ocean a lot, but the VFX really worked for me. Some of the designs for the characters were out of this world, but I thought they looked pretty good. I was just kind of like, I don't know. I like being on this. I liked watching the show. It kind of reminded me of Pirates of the Caribbean too. It just felt pretty cool. Loki season 2. It's kind of surprising that this made this list, because Marvel has been struggling. Because we can talk about Guardians of the Galaxy 3 being so amazing, but that's not really connected to the whole Marvel universe. Marvel's just been struggling as a whole this year, with like Quantumania being not great, Secret Invasion being just horrible in my opinion. It was just such a disappointment. The Marvels being fun but not great again. Loki season 2 serves as the only great thing from Marvel this year, besides Guardians 3, but we still haven't seen What If season 2. That still comes out this month, I think, kind of like the end of the year. But Loki season 2 was great. It's kind of like the only Marvel show to start out great and end great. 2 seasons. The first season great. I love the first season. The second season, kind of an upgrade for me. I thought everything kind of was upgraded in this season, especially the writing. I thought the writing was great. And Loki as a character, he has to be in my Hall of Fame of Marvel characters now. And Tom Hiddleston put his all in this character, and you can tell he cares a lot for this role. I've seen him in interviews; he cares a lot. He talks about this role a lot. It's kind of funny because he auditioned for Thor first, but then he got Loki. We never knew that Loki, his character, was going to go on to this huge journey. After Endgame, he finally got the show announced. Then we got season 1. We're like, oh my god, this is pretty cool to see him like in his own show. Then we got season 2, and we're like, damn, it's kind of like all ended for his character at that point, because he's like holding the timelines now. We don't know if we're going to see him again. Hopefully we do see him again, because man, I really just love Tom Hiddleston in this role. I don't think anyone could have done it as good as him. But I will say a new addition to the show was great. Ke Huy Quan from Everything Everywhere. He was such a great addition. He just adds so much charisma to every role that he plays. He needs to keep getting calls. Hopefully we get to see his character soon. Not sure what's going on with the TVA, if we're going to ever see them again, but I love the TVA. I love the characters. Owen Wilson doing great. And Kang is still kind of looming in the background after the show, even though Loki is controlling the timelines, and he's sitting on that chair, it's holding on to him. There still is some talk about Kang and where he is, wondering what they're going to do with that, where Marvel's going to go. That's why I'm saying they're struggling right now, because where is Marvel going to go after this finale? Because the finale is really up there for Marvel. I don't think there's been a finale this good for a Marvel Disney Plus show yet, because they all stumble and fall with their finales. The direction, camera work here were excellent, and I loved how this show went a little bit darker than any other Marvel shows that we had, because we thought Moon Knight was gonna be dark. I think this was darker than Moon Knight. I think Moon Knight could have been a little darker, and as I said, I hope we get to see Loki again. I think the chances are looking pretty slim. I don't know what they're gonna do with him, what his abilities are now that he has to hold the timelines in that chair. But I kind of hope that we get to see Loki and Thor reunite again one day soon. The Last of Us is coming in 6th place. This might sound too low for some people, but I feel like, all these shows I love a lot, especially the top 5, top 6, they're all great. It was a hard time for me to all put them in a list because I love them so much. They can switch every other day, but The Last of Us is a show that I loved, an adaptation that will be hard to beat for video game adaptations, because video game adaptations aren't great. As we've seen, the Mario movie, it wasn't a great movie. It was fun. The Sonic movies are fun, but they're a little too childish for me at times. But I feel like The Last of Us went there. It went all the way there, and I feel like it nailed it. And the funny thing is with this, I had a really fun time with this one, because before the show came out, I didn't ever play The Last of Us. I kind of put it off. But I started to play The Last of Us right as this was coming out. I kind of like played with the episode experience, kind of went along with how the episodes were going along. I thought that added to the experience a lot, and it really was a fun time just to, play the game for the first time, watch the show for the first time, see what changed, see what didn't, see how the characters were acting. That was awesome. But I feel like, what they put a lot of passion into the show, and I can really appreciate that, because as I said, video game adaptations never have a lot of passion, because as you've seen with like Mortal Kombat, a lot of people hated that Mortal Kombat movie. We're going to see how the second one is, but video game adaptations just have a very hard time. And I don't think this would have worked if it wasn't HBO, because HBO just puts out banger show after banger show after banger show. They do a great job with all their shows. They put in the most effort, I think, with their shows. So if HBO didn't make it, I feel like this would be a lot worse for Last of Us fans. Pedro and Pascal and Bella Ramsey gave great performances, and they really had great chemistry on set for each of their scenes. I loved their chemistry, because you had to have two characters have some great chemistry, because in the game they have some great chemistry. And I thought that some amazing episodes, and a couple that were a little slow for me. They have some great episodes. A couple of them were a little slow paced, but I feel like that's kind of the game too. But I feel like the game went really fast paced. I finished the game really fast. Episode 5, 3, and 8 were big standouts for me, especially episode 3 with Nick Offerman and Murray Bartlett. That episode just destroyed me a lot. That was a very sad episode. A lot of people hated it, but people hate a lot. But that episode destroyed me. I thought it was great though. And we also have official confirmation that season 2 is coming in 2025. I'm hyped for that. I haven't played the second game. I do know what happens though with Joel, so I had that spoiled for me. But I'm kind of interested to see how they're going to do the second season. I'm pretty sure they said they're going to split the second game into 2 seasons, so we should be getting 3 seasons max or minimum for this show. But I'm really hyped for season 2. The Bear season 2 has made its way into my top 5 shows of the year. My love continues to grow for this show because of its kind of like its rambunctious and fast-paced energy that the show gives off. I feel like I really connect with that because I'm kind of that way in real life, and just seeing Jeremy Allen White just go from an amazing performance in Shameless to another amazing performance in this show. He's kind of like living in the TV world right now. He's doing a great job. He's also in The Iron Claw, which is coming out. I still haven't seen that yet, but I'm very hyped for that. I feel like Jeremy Allen White just he goes in, gives some great performances, and then he goes in, gives another great performance and another thing. He's just tearing it up right now. And Ayo Edebiri is becoming a great star. She was in like, what do you think, like 5 movies in 2023. She's in a lot of different supporting roles, but this role right here, I think that her character just gets better and better and better. That goes for every other characters. Edmund Moss's character has some great development this season, and especially in episode 7 where he has to work at that fancy restaurant. One of my favorite episodes of that show. That was a great episode. But I will say my favorite episode, which was the biggest episode of this show, was episode 6, titled Fishes. It goes down as one of my favorite episodes of the whole entire year, just because it was the longest episode. I think it was an hour long. The cameos in there, that was crazy. And just the whole, it's crazy episode. The craziness that ensues, the rambunctious energy that happens in that episode. It's a very emotional episode at times too. I feel like the writing there was great. You have a lot of different one shots in the show that do great. And I feel like why this was ahead of The Last of Us for me, because each episode was great and it kept its quality throughout its 10-episode run. I feel like that is easy to do when they have like 35-minute episodes and stuff like that. I really do think that the quality of the show is great. And, they've already started filming season 3. I think they filmed the show really fast because the locations are pretty minimal for this show. But I feel like The Bear just gets better and better every single season. The Fall of House Usher is Mike Flanagan's last Netflix series that he made, since he's going to Amazon now, which is going to be pretty cool. And he went out with a serious bang with this show, because I watched this show really late. I only watched this show at the beginning of December. I think it came out at the end of October, and I was going to watch it when it officially dropped, but I just forgot about it and I didn't have time. But I'm very happy that I, made time for this show and decided to binge it. I think I binged it in like 3 days, 2 days. It's a insanely good show. Like, if you didn't have a chance to watch this, you got to go find it. It's great. Mike Flanagan just has been on an amazing run for his Netflix shows that he's made, and I cannot wait to see what he does on Amazon, because I think on Amazon he said he's making the Dark Tower series from Stephen King. Those books are great. I'm wondering how he's going to do all that. Multiple seasons probably. And Mike Flanagan has crafted one of my favorite horror movies of Doctor Sleep. I love Doctor Sleep. Such an amazing movie, kind of amazing sequel to The Shining. But The Fall of the House of Usher is a show that I wasn't anticipating, to be this dark, but it is very dark at times, kind of scary at other times, because Mike Flanagan's known for these scary moments, but I just wasn't anticipating this show to be as scary and kind of tense as it is in moments, because it's a dark show, but it's also funny at times, but it's so seriously well crafted. The production design is out of this world. I love the lighting in some scenes. Like, some scenes, just, I don't want to give any spoilers away, but some death scenes for these characters has some great composition, has some great lighting. I thought that the cinematography was great too, especially in those final episodes. The final episode is such a big hit for Netflix. I loved it. Sure, I think it won't be for everyone, but I fell in love with its supernatural story and the horror moments that go really far up there. I feel like some of those horror moments, as I said, they go farther than I thought they were going to go, especially at the end of like episode 2. That's when you really get into the story. So if you're going to go into it and love like supernatural elements, just stay till the end of episode 2. That's when things really happen in that show. My 2 favorite performances here were from Bruce Greenwood and Carl Lumbly. They were my favorite parts of the show, and especially how they played off each other was so great, because they're the ones just talking to each other the whole show. Season finale, as I said, was really special to me, and as I said, I cannot wait for what Mike Flanagan does at Amazon. I think he's going to do great there. In third place comes Beef. No, not the food, the show. Beef, produced by A24, that released on Netflix. And it's another show that just kind of rocked my world, because I shouldn't have been surprised at how good it was, because A24 produced it, but I kind of just learned that A24 produced it when I finished the show, because I was like, oh my gosh, Netflix made this show? Because Netflix makes a lot of stinkers, we all know that. They usually do well with their shows. It's mostly the movies that they do kind of crappy with, but this show just was crazy. It's kind of like right at my alley too, and I will say it's a big win for Ali Wong and Steven Yeun. Steven Yeun is also going to be playing a big role in the MCU coming up, so he's just on a train right now. He's an Invincible. He's going to be in the MCU. Beef season 2 might happen. They've had talks about it, but Ali Wong, Steven Yeun were great. They deserve all the awards for this show. I was just kind of blown away by their performances. They're crazy, entertaining, funny at times. It's a straight up, dark comedy, and I just love that genre. I love dark comedies so much because they can be funny, but they can also go pretty dark with those character moments, and the writing can just be so great when there's a dark comedy because you can go a little bit more out there with the dark comedy compared to just a regular comedy. I think it's over the top in the best ways possible. As I said, the comedic moments are really right in your face, but they just made me laugh out loud a lot. That's because the script is so good for this show. And just talking about this show makes me want to rewatch it even more because it's a pretty short watch. I think every episode was like 35 minutes or less. I think one episode was like 45 minutes or so. It's such a great show. It's so easily rewatchable. I just love the style of the show, the twisted story that was going on that led into a very different and weird finale that oddly worked for me because the finale feels the most like an A24 production because the finale is so different than every other episode. But I thought the finale was great. I love how they ended it. And they might do a season 2. I hope they do a season 2 because this show just it was great. Succession season 4 in second place might surprise some people, but I still loved it a lot. I think it's phenomenal. The top 2 shows on my list kind of can switch and swap either way. Depends how I'm feeling, but Succession season 4 is, Succession as a whole is a more serious show, so that's why it's not landing in that top spot. I think the top show on my list is a show that I'll go rewatch it more and more. But Succession season 4, it ended with an absolute kind of bang. It's the final season of the show. It's Succession as, it's been a major staple for HBO and Max for many years. One of the most highly reviewed shows of all time. It's an interesting show. It's a business show. We gotta say it's a business show, but if you love business, I feel like you'll love it. If you don't love business, I feel like you'll still love it because it's oddly hilarious but serious at times, and the characters are just so lovable, but you also hate them at the same time. It has some great characters. That's because the script is just so flawless. I feel like they do a great job with the script. I want to go buy the physical scripts for the show, just read them because there's just so many odd moments in this show, filled with some very, very interesting characters, I will say. And as I said, it's its final season, comes to it has a lot of shocking moments in this season that I wasn't prepared for. Spoilers, if you haven't seen it yet, it has 4 seasons. But Logan Roy dying in the first half of the season was probably the biggest shocker for me. I was like, what? How are you killing the main character of the show? But I thought it was kind of for a good reason. The more I started to watch this and the more the season went on, because it allowed for Kieran, Sarah, and Jeremy Strong to have the full center stage of the show and their characters to have the biggest opportunity for the show, and they really ran with it. I think the final half of the season was my favorite. The first half was great, but the final half really went to that extreme level. I kind of wanted the show to go, the extreme business level and character moments level that I thought was great. And Kieran Culkin was my favorite performance from the season. I thought he was just the biggest and most electrifying character this season. And he has that big vulnerable moment at his dad's funeral. It's a fantastic scene, kind of a very sad scene because that's the first scene we really see him open up. If all of the Succession boys are nominated for these big awards, I would want him to win the big awards because I feel like he just brings it all this season. His character has the biggest moments this season, so I feel like he is just the best this season. And I feel like the ending was a big swing for them, and I kind of wasn't expecting it, but I feel like it did work just because the show starts pretty evil. It's an evil opening to the show, and I feel like it ends more of an evil way, especially for Kendall. Nothing really good happens to him in this show from the beginning to the end. So I feel like it just worked kind of full circle for his character in a way. And as I said, if you love business, you might like it. If you don't love business, you might like it. It's an excellent binge. All 4 seasons are now out. I binged the first 3 seasons to get ready for this one, and it was just a great time. It's one of the, I think it's one of the best shows in modern TV. Gen V is my favorite show of the year. Yes, it might be surprising. Yes, you might not like it, but that's okay. As I said, we all have our own personal opinions, but Gen V had to be my favorite show of the year. It's kind of a biased pick, as I said, because I just love the boys universe. I love what those writers are doing in the writers room. And it's shocking because we saw the trailers for this. Trailers look pretty good, look pretty promising, but I still worried because once you start expanding a universe, because you have the boys and you start expanding it, you're worried that the quality is going to go down, the characters aren't going to be that great, and it's not going to live up to the boys' quality. But this show basically lived up to the boys' quality. I'd put this show above 1 or 2 seasons of The Boys for me. I think only one season of The Boys is better than this season. I'm kind of alone in thinking that because I loved it so much. I just love the experience of waiting for a new episode every single week. The cliffhangers that they ended with were great. I love the character moments here. I thought every character had their chance to shine. All these new actors did a great job at selling all these crazy moments that happened in the show, because it takes place at a college. There's going to be a lot of different crazy sexual gory moments that happen here, especially because it's a boys universe show. There's some moments that I wasn't expecting. There's some moments that I think are darker and more gory than the boys. Especially with the opening scene, you just get right into it. They just let you right into the show. The final episode though, we're gonna get to that final episode. I think naturally though, the experience with the show is just fun, but once you get to those final two episodes, it gets pretty dark, which I liked how they went with that darkness for there, because the finale, they nailed it for me. I was just jumping on my seat in the finale. It was crazy. I was not expecting the finale to go to those moments. Everyone was just dying at the campus of the college, and the finale was one of my favorite episodes of the year. It might be my favorite episode of the year. And just seeing Homelander show up just got me. It got me so happy. I love seeing Homelander, even though he's an evil character. Anthony Starr does a great job at playing him, and Homelander is just so evil as ever. And we're gonna see him in The Boys season 4 coming out next year. They're doing a great job with this universe. They also said they're announcing another Boys spinoff, The Boys in Mexico. I think that's what that called. But I cannot wait for that. I cannot wait for that. The Boys season 4. I feel like that's gonna be the best season yet. It looks the most serious. Supposedly we might see more of the Gen V characters in that season. Then we got the Gen V season 2 coming out after that. They're really expanding this universe in a big way. I cannot wait to see how, The Boys ends, how Gen V ends, how they're going to keep going with this. But I really love I really love Gen V season 1. I guess we can call it season 1 now, because we're going to get season 2. Season 1, it was just fantastic. I loved the costume design too. I thought the costume design was great. I think like Amazon does a great job with VFX use. They don't use it too much. When they do, feel like it looks great. So Gen V is my favorite show of the year. But this year we've had a lot of fantastic shows. Hopefully next year can keep up with that. As I said, make sure to leave a like on this video if you did enjoy. Leave your, top 5, top 10 shows of the year down in the comments. I'm interested to check out what you guys like this year. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. We're on the road to 500 subscribers, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.